Hey y'all, I said y'all. I grew up in California, so I can say y'all. Maybe I don't know. There are people that said y'all out in California. I always love starting my videos with rambling. I wanted to talk about, as if my entire videos aren't just rambling. I wanted to talk about conspiracy theories. I think I've mentioned conspiracies a couple of times in my videos up to this point. And there's been a lot of talk about conspiracy theories, so I thought I'd just have my input. The Bulwark especially has been talking about conspiracy theories, and it seems like all of them are against it. They're like, none of this stuff is conspiracy theories. I don't think I've heard them support any conspiracy theory. And they've even talked about how many people will say, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but, and then they'll go on to talk about how they believe in conspiracy theories. And I have done that myself. And so, I mean, I'm a person that doesn't like to be part of the crowd, which has its good aspects and its bad aspects. But, so I don't really like to be grouped together with people that say, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but, and then the commentators go on to make them sound like they actually are conspiracy theorists. And, you know, my mom didn't believe that, or maybe I should say that she did believe the conspiracy theories that we didn't go to the moon. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, about the people, the Apollo missions, whatever, didn't actually go to the moon. I don't know how she feels about Artemis. Maybe I should talk to her about that. But apparently I come from a background of conspiracy believing, conspiracy theory believing. I would look at her and say, you know, it's fact, you know, it's reality. And that's what the Bulwark tends to be saying now. It's like, you gotta live in reality. And the amount that they've been talking about this, well, Tim and Sarah from the Bulwark, and I think some others, but especially Tim and Sarah, it's like they see a real problem with it. It's not, and you know, it's like what's the outcome of these conspiracy theories going to be? A lot of people are talking about it. I'm not seeing a lot of tinfoil hats. I'm not seeing a lot of, you know, when you go to the protests, I'm not seeing a lot of signs that are talking about the conspiracy things. Like, there's much bigger things that that are obviously wrong, that people can actually get excited about. And these conspiracy theories seem to be more on the fringe instead of what they actually care about. So in my mind, it's almost like, I don't think it's doing a lot of harm. Especially when all the conspiracy theories are about Donald Trump. You know, so it's not like conspiracy theories are proliferating across the board. It's all just centered on Trump and his administration. And the focus group podcast that Sarah from the Bulwark does, I just listened to today's episode, and it seemed like it was very much oriented around conspiracy theories. That she got these theories from both disaffected MAGA and also from liberals. And I think that there was some kind of report, I think it might have been something that Tim shared about some enormous percentage, and I say enormous, like it might have been like 60% or something, like over half. Some majority of people are believing that in these conspiracy theories, which one of the things that was talked about in today's focus group podcast was she was talking with, I think his name was David Fromm, and he said something to the effect of, when you've got millions of people making a decision, you tend to get it right more than when you have just a few people making a decision. And I've seen research like that as well, in psychology, in prediction markets. Even when the people are uninformed, when you get big enough numbers of people weighing in on something, they tend to find the right answer. Surprisingly. I mean, it's surprising that this is how it turns out, but this is how it turns out. And he talked about that on the podcast today. So it's kind of ironic that they'll say, yeah, when large amounts of people believe something, they're probably right. And then they'll say, the majority of people are believing this is a conspiracy, but they're wrong. It's like they're contradicting themselves. It's kind of funny. Another thing that was very funny to me was that Tim was talking about the Butler shooting, assassination attempt. And one of his big pieces of evidence was that we have pictures of the bullet zipping past Donald Trump's head. And it's not from like right-wing media, it's like from, I don't remember, Wall Street Journal, some place that's more reputable. I know that the Wall Street Journal is becoming less reputable now that it's owned by Jeff Bezos, is that right? So that was one of his big pieces of evidence. Look, we've got this picture of the bullet zipping past his head, and then there's a person that dies that was behind him. The bullet hit them instead of him, and he mentioned it at one point, and I was like, oh, really? Do we have footage of this? And I should look into that. And so that was like a week or two ago that he said that. And then more recently, he did another one about conspiracy theories, and he's like, I've been talking about this so much, I'm not even going to make a new video. I'm just going to compile the things that I've said from other videos. So he's been going on about it a bunch. And I haven't been convinced yet that Butler, at least, was not a false flag. But in the more recent video, he actually shows the pictures. He said, yeah, this whatever newspaper it was from, I really can't remember, someplace reputable, released these pictures. He said that they were taking a picture, and it was like a burst photo, so it was like several within milliseconds, I guess, that they took this burst photograph right as the bullet was zipping past Trump's head. And as he's talking about it, he's like, it's a kind of an unbelievable photo. And so his message is, this is an unbelievable photo, you should believe it. That was funny to me, that he would refer to it as unbelievable and then use it as his prime piece of evidence. Because to me, yeah, that is unbelievable. It's unbelievable that a photo would be taken right at that moment in a burst. This isn't, that's the way that Tim describes it anyway. He didn't say anything like, oh, this was like high-speed video. and we're able to pull these pictures out of the high-speed video. The way that Tim describes it, that's kind of what I'm going off of. I don't know this for myself. The way that Tim describes it is it was just a picture taken, like they pushed the button at just the right moment. And yeah, that does seem rather unbelievable to me. That seems like, it seems more likely that it's a doctored photo than it's a real photo. Even if it's from a reputable source, that seems extremely unlikely. In Tim's word, unbelievable. So yes, I am still not convinced that the Butler incident was not staged. I'm still not convinced of that. I'm still leaning towards, or maybe even ready to declare, I think that this was a hoax, that it was a setup, that there was no ammunition in that assassin's rifle, and there was a bullet that killed somebody, but that it wasn't from that assassin. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on Butler. Now, they've also been talking about the ballroom incident, where the guy from California, Cole Allen, I think was his name, that I think Heather Cox Richardson said, there's no way you're going to remember this guy's name because he's got 3 first names. It might have been her, it might have been somebody else, but that's a funny thing to say, okay, but I actually remember his name, oddly. That comes off the top of my head better than the name of the event. Journalist dinner? White House? I don't know. So yeah, that one. So this is another one where on first thought, my first encounter, I was like, yeah, I could see that being faked. Like some guy running around. And I love how the pictures of the guy pressed up against the ground when they're like holding him down, and you can see his bare shoulders. And I'm just like, was he trying to storm the ballroom with no shirt on? But maybe they stripped his shirt off to make sure that he didn't have a bomb or any other weapons or something like that. I don't know. And then they took the picture after they stripped him. Yeah, that seems more likely than him charging the ballroom with no shirt on. So there are some things, like the security being extremely lax, which is weird. I mean, people were commenting on it. The person, Cole himself, was commenting on it. There's footage before the incident takes place of people commenting on it. Wow, they're not even trying to put much security in here, are they? So that seems weird, but I think that our government is run by amateurs right now, and so I guess they could make stupid mistakes. So maybe that's not a whole lot of evidence, but what else? Some guy calmly eating a salad that has nothing to do with it. Okay, yeah, somebody was like, this is just probability, you know, you get enough people together and some of them are gonna not care about dying, they'd rather eat their salad. But I also think that was a certain amount of time after the gunfire and, you know, the initial incident, and everybody else still hiding and worried that maybe something, you know, they haven't gotten an all clear, and this guy's like, I ain't waiting for no all clear. It's been enough time. I'm not gonna sweat it. So I don't know. That guy is not convincing at all. There was some point about some person up on the stage with a phone taking a video of when J.D. Vance is evacuated and how Trump took some extra time to be evacuated. And if you look at that, the guy that's taking that footage he's just sitting there totally calm and normal, and he doesn't seem to be hiding or looking at the door, or worried at all. And this is as as Vance and Trump are being evacuated. This is very close up on the heels of when the incident was. So I guess that's a little suspicious. I think that the thing that I find weirdest and most out of place is in the communication from Cole. And I don't even want to call him a gunman, although I guess he was carrying guns. But I'm hearing a lot of reports that he didn't even fire a single shot, that there were shots fired at him, that one of the officers got hit by friendly fire, but that so I don't really want to say a shooting, because the only shooting that took place was from law enforcement. I don't want to call him a gunman. Maybe, I don't know. There was somebody that was saying like, oh yeah, I hope that he sues them because he had those guns legally and he didn't shoot anybody, he didn't even aim at anybody, he didn't do anything wrong except for carrying his guns, and the Second Amendment protects that. And if that's the case, then everybody carrying a gun is a gunman. So I'm not sure about that term either. But I'll keep calling him Cole Allen. So Cole Allen, and I went on a tangent, I'm not sure where I was. He wrote, apparently, what they're calling a manifesto, sent it to his family, apologized to a lot of people, commented on the security at the hotel, and also talked about who his targets were. And he was saying that he was targeting the administration from the most important down to the least, except for Kash Patel. I was like, okay, that's weird. Why? And other people have wondered this, and they thought, I don't know, maybe he felt some kind of kinship with Kash Patel, maybe he was pretty impressed with Kash Patel. None of that makes sense to me. So this is where I'm going to get kind of woo-woo. And I'm not saying that I believe this. But what I'm saying is, for this to make sense to me as a conspiracy theory, it would have to be like under these circumstances. And the circumstances are pretty far out there. So I can't say, yes, this is what I believe. Only this is kind of how it would have to be if it was going to work as a conspiracy theory. Because this guy has been posting on social media for years pretty left-wing stuff. And he also does seem to be kind of degrading mentally. I mean, I think that he got like a master's degree or something like that. I don't know. But he's definitely got a degree. He was a teacher, not in a traditional schoolroom, but just as a tutor, helping students prepare for tests, things like that. So he's been called a part-time teacher, but really he's more of a tutor than a teacher, but whatever. Tutors are teachers too. So why would he say, I'm going to kill all these people except for Kash Patel? To me, that kind of sounds like brainwashing. Like real Manchurian Candidate kind of stuff. I saw that Manchurian Candidate not very long ago. It has to do with brainwashing, I don't know, I think it was like some soldiers in Vietnam, or maybe it was Korea, I'm not sure. But it was in one of those wars, and this platoon or a group of soldiers was captured, and then they were brainwashed so effectively that you could just use code words to activate them. I think the Bourne Identity kind of gets into this as well. You use some kind of code word or series of code words to activate the asset, and then they just do what you tell them. And I know, I've heard several times. I haven't looked into it myself. I've heard from acquaintances. I've read in books talk about MK Ultra when the United States was testing with psychedelics to see if they could use it to obtain some level of mind control. Now, obviously, this is not something that you want to tell the general public. This is something that you're going to keep on the down low, but it is public knowledge now, and maybe I have looked up at it a little bit. I'm pretty sure that there's a Wikipedia page about it. But yeah, so MK Ultra was discontinued, but somehow this information is now public knowledge. It was made public, but I doubt that the United States has stopped trying to control people's minds. And that was decades ago, the MK Ultra stuff. And if they've continued to try to control people's minds, and they've had any success at it, then it would stand to reason that there would be assets like the Bourne Identity or like the Manchurian Candidate that are waiting to be activated. And if there are assets that are waiting to be activated or prepared for activation, and they're just living their lives until somebody chooses to activate them and use them, then I would imagine that these amateurs that are now in charge of our government would want to use them. Just like Trump and Pete Hegseth want to use the military and the National Guard as their toys, want to use our artillery as their toys. Let's use, this secret laser weapon, whatever, in Venezuela. Let's use up all of these bombs and techniques for rescuing our soldiers in Iran. Well, you know what? They just love playing with this stuff that other people have developed. And so if Cole Allen, in his mental instability, somehow became an asset for the United States to activate at some point, and he's just been waiting for activation, living his life, waiting for activation, and then Kash Patel comes across this, and he's like, I want to activate this guy, and I want to program him to storm this event that Donald Trump surprisingly agreed to go to this time, even though he's declined every other time. But this time he says he wants to go. That seems a little weird too. That this is what happened the one time that he decided to go to this thing that he hasn't gone to before. But anyway, still, not super convincing. Just another thing that's like, that is weird. But yeah, he was activated. Kash Patel activates him to storm the ballroom in a futile attempt. They want him to get a certain distance, so they keep the security down, but they also have him storm the event at a time when everybody's already in their seats. The lobby is calm, so he's obviously gonna be caught, even though there is not a lot of security going on at that moment. And he commands him to do that, but he also has this worry in his mind. But what if he actually succeeds? I don't want him killing me. I just want to activate him, make a scene, have fun with this toy, benefit the president. Whether it actually benefits the president or not is debatable, but these people don't always base their actions on facts. That was another thing about Butler. People were saying like, yeah, Trump might have gotten like a slight bump in the polls after the assassination attempt in Butler, but it really didn't make a difference. You know, nobody's going to vote for him just because somebody shot at him. Now that's a logical way of thinking, but these people that are running our government are not thinking logically. I think that that Trump, he does want to recreate, the Gilded Age, and as Heather Cox Richardson and her friend Joanne, I don't remember her last name, they have like this Saturday morning podcast, What's Going On or What's Happening, I can't remember what it is, they live stream it. But today, they were talking about how there used to be a lot more political violence. You know, Carter got shot at, Reagan got shot at, Kennedy was actually murdered, assassinated, I don't know what to call it. That the United States has this long, illustrious heritage of trying to assassinate the president. And so it's not beyond me. I don't think it's beyond him to think, you know what, I want to be like one of those classic presidents that got an assassination attempt. Obama didn't get any assassination attempts. What's that say about him? Joe Biden didn't get any assassination attempts. What's that say about him? He's not one of those classic people that people actually want to kill. Well, you know what? I want to look like one of those classic presidents. Just like I want to, get rid of votes for black people and abortion and whatever else. I really want to rewind our country like 50, 60 years and go back to the good old days when people tried to kill presidents. And so he makes his own arrangements. Like, okay, yeah, I could see him doing that. Anyway, the woo-woo, hypnotized, brainwashed assets. No, it's not logical, but these people are not living in a logical world. So I could see a world where Kash Patel is responsible for arranging this assassination or attempted assassination appearance, and is too nervous to let that gunman actually kill everybody. So he inserts his own name as part of the programming, saying, "Yep, you're supposed to kill everybody, but not Kash Patel," and that's why he was the only exclusion. Now, would it be the FBI that was actually doing this, or would it be the CIA? I don't know. I don't even know who's in charge of the CIA. The people don't talk about that very much, do they? I mean, there's a lot of different figures in the administration that get a lot of attention, but I don't hear anybody talking about who's in charge of the CIA and how capable or inept they are, or how new they are, or how much of a sycophant they are to Trump. But Kash Patel is definitely that, and oh my gosh, so much that, and so I don't know. If you actually have this asset and it could be used either by the FBI or the CIA, well, Kash is the person that's crazy enough to do it, but not crazy enough to leave his name on the list. So if this is a conspiracy, it's got to be of that variety in my mind. But again, this isn't changing my choices. I never liked Trump. I always thought he was a disgusting person. Even when I was a Republican, I voted for Mitt Romney. And then Donald Trump comes on the scene and I was like, ooh, that guy's gross. I'm not going to vote for him. I'll vote for some independent that has no chance of winning before I'll vote for him. So I didn't vote for Trump or Hillary. I voted for some guy who had no chance of winning. I don't know if he was even on the ballot for every state, but he was on the ballot in Utah, and I voted for him. Anyway, So I can't remember where I was going with that. Never liked Trump, and I guess that's all. But Yeah, it's not going to change my life. Like, my behavior is not going to change. I'm not going to come out and try to convince people and be like, no, this really is a conspiracy. You have to believe it. It's like, it doesn't make any difference. They're doing obviously horrible things. Those are the things that we need to stop. They're changing our system so that even once Trump dies, we're going to have major problems. With whoever comes next, we're going to have big problems. The Supreme Court likes to cast down these equalizing democratic efforts, and we do have a lot of people that are wanting to fix it and say, okay, so Roe versus Wade got thrown out. You know what? Even Ruth Bader Ginsburg had problems with it and its conclusions. She wasn't going to throw it out, but she had problems with it. Well, you know what? Let's fix this in a better way. Let's fix it so it doesn't have the problems. Let's fix it so that it fixes our country. The reason I'm exasperated is because I feel like the Constitution wasn't written for us. The Constitution was written for people 250 years ago, and we are different, and it has not kept up. And I kind of feel like we need to rewrite the Constitution. I don't know if we need amendments. I don't even know how you go about that. It's hard enough to get an amendment on the Constitution, let alone rewrite the whole thing. But this isn't what I'm here to talk about. I was here to talk about conspiracies, but I got off on a tangent, and then I made this face, and I didn't want to be like, you know what, don't worry about that face that I just made. I was thinking about something that frustrates me, but I'm not going to tell you because this video is not about that. But I'm a rambler, so here I am talking about that, and then talking about that. But I think I'm done talking. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on the conspiracies. That, I guess, in summary, it doesn't really make a difference. Whether you believe them, whether you don't believe them, did we land on the moon, didn't we land on the moon, were these false flags or not, all these assassination attempts, were they real or were they just fabrications? I don't think it changes anything for anybody. So, I don't know why we talk about them so much. I mean, I guess people want to comment on them, have an opinion, and opinions are important. So I guess we should be sharing them. And here I'm talking about them too. But I think the thing that I'm saying is not you people need to wake up or you people need to believe this. I'm saying this doesn't make a difference. We should be focused on the things that do make a difference. I'll stop the video there. Thanks for watching. Bye.